for the final match of the evening. You won't have to wait much longer. It is coming up in just about 10 minutes. Let's use those last 10 minutes with our good friends here in the studio. When I first joined CCP, I'd gone to FanFest, I'd gone to the Alliance tournament, I'd been a commentator like these wonderful looking gentlemen here. You're the lead game designer. How does one end up the lead game designer?
Well, I was, at the time, before I started at CCP, I was laid off. It was post.com bubble burst. I had been working in Pittsburgh as a designer there. I'm doing all sorts of different, like application design, UI design, that kind of thing, and I got laid off, so I moved back to Seattle, where I'm from, and I started playing MMOs because it's a really great way to spend all of your time. You know, when you don't have a job and you don't have a lot of money to spend, it's like bang for the buck. It's best way that I can think of waste all my time in my mom's basement or whatever. But so I played different MMOs, and I found out about Eve on their forums, and then I didn't get into the beta, and a friend of mine got into the beta, and he hated it. He said, this game is the worst game ever. It's like a mining simulator, and you don't do anything, and you just stare at rocks all day. And I was like, no, you don't get it. You have to form like a corporation and go into like the lawless parts of space and like capture like stuff and then fight with your, it's amazing. And he's like, dude, I'll burn it to CD, you come get it, take this off my hands, I hate it. So I was in the beta, and then I was just so into it, I got into the volunteer program as a bug hunter, and I was hanging out on IRC, and then I became the lead bug hunter, and as the lead bug hunter, I had more access to all the developers, and Tom B being one of them, like I mentioned before, and I was getting more and more into like sort of the design of the game rather than just finding bugs. You know, he would change missiles, and I would say, okay, now this needs to be 5% more than this, because it's like, you know, so more balancing type of stuff. And then Nathan Richardson, who was the senior producer at the time, he's now the executive producer of CCP, just said, you know, why don't you just move here and make this a job? And, you know, being laid off in Seattle, where like unless you worked at Microsoft, there were really no jobs back then. Now actually they have kind of a burgeoning game design or game industry there. But so I moved here as an intern, making like hardly anything, and just work my way up from there. So that's sort of the dream story. Play video games, kids.
Yeah, exactly. When mom says, you've been on the computer for 2 hours now, get outside, don't do it. Stay at the computer, refuse to leave.
I could be this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny, your friend in the beta could have been me. Because I played the beta, and I said, this is the worst game ever made. I will never touch this game again. And then I went back to playing something terrible, probably. And then a year later, it had been released. I picked it up, and I was like, wow, this is the greatest game ever made. And then I was stuck on it. That's kind of how it is, you know? You can't really judge a book by its cover or a CD by its envelope.
Yeah, well, it's the people that make the game. And so I think, you know, in really early beta, if you didn't meet up with anybody, you just kind of lost out on what really makes Eve what it is. And I sort of had understood what it should be or what it could be, and that's what really drew me to it. So.
I think for me it was like I just had such high expectations, because I used to play Ultima Online, and I love PvP, and I love griefing people. And someone said, oh, this new EVE Online game, you can log in, you can shoot anyone anywhere, and you know, you'll be rolling in loot. And I logged in and I started shooting someone. I just died because I didn't do any damage, and I was like, ah, and then I left. And then I came back and I learned how to do those exact things. I learned how to, like, I got a corporation, an alliance, I scammed some people, I shot some people, and found out how wonderful it is. That is kind of, you know. How about you, Darius? I mean,
I was actually in the beta.
Oh.
And then had a similar experience. I was in the beta playing Eve by yourself, at least at the time, wasn't very interesting. And then got out, and then actually came in through an NSA recruitment thread, which was where right around the same time, or just after Goonfleet actually started. And since then I played pretty much every day. But that was the whole, again, the social dynamic, right? It was fun being in a large corporation with a bunch of dudes, even if we weren't really accomplishing anything, right? Just hang out and mine or chill out and you know, drink a couple beers or 30 and, you know, hang out in TeamSpeak and be dumb while you're flying this little ship. And experience the dumb, fun things you can do while in a spaceship, like shooting other people and making them angry or taking all their money.
And the social dynamic is important to you as well, Rowan.
Absolutely.
We talked about you actually having quit a job to go to FanFest.
Yeah, I've quit my job 3 times now in total. Once I was lucky enough to be able to like go home, and my boss was like, "Yeah, it's okay, you can come back." But yeah, I've quit 2 jobs and just walked away from them purely because, I mean, it's been for personal reasons as well. Like, I haven't been happy with the place as well. But yeah, Internet Spaceship's a serious business. I mean, I've played since, I think it was just before Caster, and the longest time I've ever had away from the game was 5 days when I wrecked my car. I've played solid since then. I've never stopped, basically.
Yeah. So the only thing that keeps you from EVE is the hospital, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why would you
That's
wreck
the
your
indication.
car? Were you angry about losing a ship or something?
No, I like wreck as in horrible accident.
Oh, an accident. My bad.
Anyway, enough about wrecking cars and all that jazz. We had some people post today as well. You know, we've been playing EVE for all these years, and you know, when does it end? When do we see EVE Online 2?
Hopefully it never ends, and you know, hopefully we never see EVE Online 2. As you see with like we did with Trinity, and we continue to do with all sorts of features, we constantly just improve the game that we have now. You know, EQ did that EQ2, and they sort of like took their user base and put it in 2 and confused people, and it just doesn't really seem like a good way to go. I mean, you've got this awesome social network of friends, and just branching it off into 2 games doesn't make any sense to me, or ending it really. I mean, you know, EVE never fades.
It's kind of a sad situation to tell your customers that they should be playing something else. It's like, you're playing this now, but you should be playing number 2 that's better.
Yeah, and
I mean, they might start looking
people
down
always
things.
ask, you know, how come EVE managed to succeed when so many other MMOs fail? And it's, I think, in part that we are committed to EVE, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep improving it, whereas all these other games, they come out and then they put the skeleton crew of like 5 people developing on it, and you can just see they're not committed to like continuing this on, you know, for the foreseeable future. And if you're going to like basically invest your free time and your hobby time and into something, you know, and build something, you want to know that like the people who are bringing it to you are as committed to it as you are. So
one other thing that goes on with EVE that doesn't necessarily go on with the other games, I think, is that with EVE you do a lot of the in-place upgrades. Like with a lot of other games you see where they're like, well, now the graphics are terrible and nobody wants to play it anymore because it's not pretty, but you'll do a lot of the, you know, inline graphical updates or whatever by devoting people to the pre-existing game instead of saying, oh, our graphics are terrible, we now need to go make something new.
And we're doing a lot of stuff under the hood too. I mean, I think our engineering staff doesn't get enough credit for how much, like, how cutting edge, like and our IT guys and everything is like cutting edge stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, I don't think there would ever be an EVE 2, purely because of the fact that the way I look at EVE is it constantly evolves. It's like EVE Online 11 now. There's been that many expansions. You never replace the game, you just keep adding and adding and adding, and it gets bigger and bigger. And yeah, I don't think I could ever see myself in the foreseeable future not playing EVE. I don't know why. It's just something that I do. It's like Hammer said, it's a hobby. Some people like build little model boats and stuff. We play with Internet Spaceships.
EVE Online, it's like breathing for Ron.
EVE Online is my left leg.
It's just something you do.
Yeah, but I mean, and it is true. And I mean, we do upgrade the graphics. I mean, why not just make the ships look prettier when it's time instead of just pushing something else out?
Yeah.
And we do actually have a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of developers at EVE Online, and a lot of these people are dedicated to refactoring things and just making things smoother and better and much more pretty. I'm trying to think of anything we just like refactored recently that I can pull out as amazing.
Well, you guys
There were
did.
some new paint jobs.
Yeah, you guys did the Scorpion.
The Scorpion.
Yeah, remodeled the Scorpion recently. I mean, when Exodus was launched, the whole UI was revamped. You know, it's just an ongoing process, I guess. It's just.
It's a lot of cool things coming out all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes by refactoring, it's like when we did EveGate, the mail gets refactored.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So it's like improving on everything constantly.
So we're not going to make EVE 2. We're just going to make EVE better forever.
Yes.
Yeah. And my kids will play EVE.
Yeah. As long as I have any say in it, that's how we're going to go. So.
Unless you use Veron's take on it, in which case you've already made EVE 11.
Yes. Basically. Yeah.
But it's still the same game.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And they can pry it from our cold dead hands, basically.
Like my guns.
But it is a fantastic game. We do also have a fantastic final coming up. It is Hydra Reloaded versus Pandemic Legion, two of the best teams, actually the two best teams of the tournament, some might say, as was why they're in the finals. Pandemic Legion are Pandemic Legion historically the best team we've ever seen.
Pandemic Legion, I think, from past tournaments, I think you could say they are the best team we've ever seen, more from even just from a commitment perspective and how serious they take it and what they do. What they've done, if nothing else, is kind of set the bar for what it is to be a good team and what you need to do to succeed in the tournament, because if everyone else didn't up their game, they would just lose to Pandemic Legion all the time. So, I mean, from that perspective, I'd guess, yes, they made everyone else better.
Yeah, I mean, PL are just, well, it shows from their history in the tournament. I mean, until today, they lost no ships at all. Yeah. They're constantly fielding 100 points. They're constantly winning. So, yeah, I mean, unless Hydra Reloaded can do something very, very out of the box, unexpected, and really put on a good show, then I think they're going to be in serious trouble.
I think so too. One of the contests we've been running, of course, is the PCU contest. Today's top PCU was 56,181. Our two winners that were really close were Tarok Ban and Nick Tibor. They were at 56,180 and 56,177 respectively. You guys will be receiving brand new graphics cards from NVIDIA. You'll be receiving brand new network cards that are amazing, and you will be receiving a truckload of Eons. That is a great prize to hand out. We wanted to give away a live bear, but we were not allowed to.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Thus is life. Who is going to win, Pandemic Legion or Hydra Reloaded?
I want to say Hydra Reloaded, just because I like to see different people win.
Ron?
I'm in exactly the same opinion as Darius. I want to say Hydra Reloaded win, but I think Pandemic Legion will probably take it.
I also think Hydra's put at least as much effort into this, from what I gather, as Pandemic does, which is rare.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see a nail biter. I don't want to see Pandemic Legion wipe the floor with Hydra. I want to see, you know, people running out of cap. I want to be yelling at the screen here as things happen. But I sort of feel like Pandemic Legion is going to take it in.
I think so too. I've been told that we are mere minutes, only minutes. It's just like a collection of seconds away from seeing this, but we do have time for just one or two more topics here. Darius, you've competed in the Alliance tournament.
Yes.
Do you miss the action of the matches? Is it like high adrenaline, awesome, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a lot of fun, and I had friends over my house, and you know, we kind of got together and made it kind of a communal thing, and you know, it's really very interesting. People screaming at each other, and at the end, when you lose, figuring out who to blame.
Yes, and Circle of Two taking it to a whole new level, and all meeting at a PC cafe and sitting together in real life. No need for TeamSpeak.
No, and you can point at the guy right there and say, "This is all your fault."
God,
punch him, maybe.
Anyway, I can feel my molten hot coffee burn tingle a little bit again. That means that it is time for the final. It is Pandemic Legion versus Hydra Reloaded. This is the winner of the Alliance tournament number 8. Let's enjoy.